I do think that if we look at, the strength of a colored woman, people often refer to colored women as crazy. I'm sure you've heard that. Hey, coloreds. Am I responsible for the colored community? No, I'm not. Did God place something on my heart from a very young age? Yes. I was raised in a community where if I wasn't as clear as I was, I would be a statistic today. If I didn't have some of the influences I had in my life, I would be a statistic today. There are people who stay together because they don't want their kids to come from a broken home, but that marriage is dysfunctional. That's it. Because they're like, we're not getting divorced. That's what my parents did. It's not the divorce that's the issue. It's the where are we meeting each other, I feel often as a woman in this country, you live in fight or flight and flee all the time, consistently. Should you come home to me in tears, what do I view it as? Do I view it as weakness, or do I view it as I suppose, an opportunity to show you that you're held without judgment because you're human before you're male?
King David Studio Podcast.
Okay, I'm with a superstar. When I first saw her, she was dancing on TV. And she was like the hottest chick on that show. And we all thought, what? Who is that? I bet you there's a lot of us who watched, what was that show again? I was shot in Cape Town? Yeah, Backstage. Yeah. We watched it just for her. I promise.
Woo, okay.
And she's right here, Lorcia Cooper, who's appeared on so many shows, but the last project that she's working on, I don't know if it's the very last, is on SABC. And it's bringing the colored community to light.
Yes, absolutely. That was an intro.
How are you?
I've never been introduced as the reason as to why people watch a show. I'll take it.
Let me tell you, we watched. We couldn't wait to see.
It was the hot pants and
yeah. You remember what you used to wear, cunt. What?
I was thinking it was how I dance.
Nah, Remember, a beautiful car attracts you, and then you find out it drives nice.
Oh.
Then you find out that it has these things that it does. You find out that it can skid. You find out that it takes off well.
This is what I think people should get into, men particularly, how to give a compliment without being corny. That was really smooth.
There you go.
That was good. Can I high five you, please? That was good.
That's what it is. Wow. It's we watched. Were you aware that we were watching you?
I wasn't. The strange thing is I'd come from a dance background.
Yeah.
So as artists back in the day, we were all about the job mentality, the project we're on. So for us, it's like the project you're in, that's what requires all your attention. And so every scene for me in Backstage was about honoring the work, and that's what I live by still.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to change that. I don't do this for fame. I don't go, oh, this show's going to be big. I got to be on it. It's about what do I do with the work? And when I get home every day, that's my checklist, Like if the show does well, that's great. It's a byproduct of good work and grace. But I go in and every day is my marker. I go, did we honor the art today? Did we honor what we said we were going to do? Did we show up as the best version of ourselves, not just in the work, but with everyone else around us? So I've had that from very young. So I was quite, I suppose, nonchalant about audience, that even in the first year when people used to scream and ask for autographs, I was like, what are they doing? I'm gigging. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, it's a gig. And I'm going to do the best gig I can do. And it sustained me.
Do you feel you achieved what you set out to achieve with that particular era of your time, of your life, but that particular show?
Of late, a lot of people are talking about how the work impacts them still today.
Wow.
But particularly how Backstage inspired them, how the stories gave them hope. And I don't think I was fully aware at the time. I don't think I'm fully aware now, because in my mind, I haven't arrived,
Oh, no.
There's no moment where I go, yeah, I did it. Because
you suffer that problem too.
I do. And I think it's a great problem to have.
You got us after. What more?
It's...
When you were that butch chick. you got us after what more?
I did when I watched that butch chick. I've never heard anyone describe Tyson like that.
Oh, no,
Listen, you know what the best part of that award was for me? It wasn't, yes, I am so humbled and appreciative of the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
It was having my kids on stage with me while I was receiving it and having them view my peers stand to their feet and applaud me. That for me was mind-blowing. Yeah. And then obviously being able to say a piece of my heart and to be given that platform, you know, and to be able to speak as to, you know, the place that colored people find themselves in this country. You have a time limit, so I had to keep it short. But my kids had my POV in real time. And that for me was one of the greatest experiences as a mother.
But why does such a thing matter for a mom, for their kids to see them, or dad for that matter, or parent in that context, to see them achieve something?
I don't think it's the achievement necessarily. It's the result of the sacrifices that they've had to experience. Yeah. Being an artist in this country is not an easy job. It takes time, you know, away from your family. And then it takes time away from when you're spending time with your family and family time. People are always wanting to take a photo. And so it's as much their win as it is mine. And so they got the win in real time, not just observing it from the audience's perspective, but from mine. And so it was our win that day. I think, you know, when we look at artists and what we represent in our country, I think it's still so widely overlooked. You know, we were the reason why people could forget that they were experiencing anxiety during COVID. It is why Netflix's ratings went up so hugely during that time, because we were stuck at home. And the people who transmuted that time into a good time was entertainment, were artists. Yeah. And so I feel like our constitution fails us as artists. And that's something we need to look at. You know, I look at my career and I should do, and myself and many others should be doing 2 jobs a year and then sitting back and going, now I need to take a time out to debrief from this role and prepare for the next. You say that you select scripts, you do, but you don't really have the luxury to decline too many because you won't eat, you know. My work, my offering has always fulfilled me. I made that choice, and so I'm not a victim to the circumstances of how the industry is set up. It doesn't mean that I don't have a vision for it to change and improve and to support the artist better.
What do you think is holding it back?
Oh, I think it's, for me, honestly, lack of priority. I don't think artists in this country are viewed as a priority. And I get it, right? We have people who don't have sanitation, don't have running water, don't have electricity. So often I'll ask myself, well, where are artists on that list of priorities? And so while I understand that there's so many other challenges our country is faced with, it makes it hard because you chose a career that you really, really love, but you always have to look for something else. I'm on full-time work right now, and trust me, I'm still looking for other ways to make other things happen. Yeah. I can't be completely 100% immersed in just that. And that sometimes robs you of your full potential of where you could go because you've got other things on your mind because you have to.
And also it robs you of where we started with this point, time with kids, time with family, quality time, right. Just living and living a decent life.
Absolutely. And it's not the thing of just that's happening when you're on set filming or when you're touring or whatever it is, be it a musician or an actor or whatever it is. It's the time even in your public time that is spent committing to that show and to the audiences, because my belief is, you know, if we don't have audiences, if we don't have consumers, we don't eat. And so I have a high regard and respect for supporters of our work. We have nothing if we don't have them. Yeah.
Wow. We're already so thick into the thick of things.
It's the car. What kind of car did you imagine I was? Let's get there. Let's go there.
Geez, my favorite cars are ridiculous. It's not what you think.
Yeah.
It's a BMW 1M.
I'm not a 1M.
It's a no. Let me tell you, they're very rare.
Yeah.
They've only produced less than 1,000 of them. Only South Africa got less than 60 or maybe 70 of them. So
Right.
those who have them,
Yes.
never bother them.
Oh.
They leave them alone. They have the biggest engine and yet they come in such a tiny body. They drive
They're a
so
gem.
fast. They are exclusive.
I'm a 1M.
If you have one, you know
I
that
have one. I just need to know what kind of car I am.
you're one.
I'm a 1M.
I'm saying if one has it,
Yes.
they hardly bother it
Right.
because it's so special.
Yeah.
It's the kind of car people don't know how great it is
Wow.
until they Google it and they say, "Dude, you have that?" I'm lucky to have one.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's
When
right.
we
I've had
go
it for 10 years or so.
Listen, can I go for a drive in this car?
No.
Which is me.
You know what we will do? We'll
Which
probably
is
arrange.
me. Okay.
We'll probably arrange a shoot
Okay.
with that.
Please.
Yeah. Why not?
Let me
Might
meet
as
who
well.
I am in a car form, which is the closest thing to a guy's heart, right?
And when they see that car, they'll understand. They'll say, "Whoa, that's yeah." So yeah.
I think I'm ready to leave now. I think you have paid me more compliments in 5. How long have we been on this for?
Than
In
the
last
Saftas
5 minutes.
during lockdown.
Listen. Then my entire constitution of my industry.
I'm gonna Google it. Just
Okay.
give me a second.
Okay.
I wanna Google BMW
1M.
1M.
I hope
and
my
then
name comes up next to it.
BMW 1M. You will read what they have to say about it. You just
Okay.
look at it and there, that little paragraph's good enough. What do they say?
You know, my favorite color is red, and this is red.
There you go.
Wow, is highly sought after limited production modern classic with only 6,309 units produced worldwide.
Yeah.
It features a 3-liter twin-turbo N54 straight 6 engine. What's a straight 6 engine?
It's the pistons.
Like my calves.
Yeah.
Pistons, right. Calves in my language. A 6-speed manual gearbox.
It only comes in manual, no automatic.
And wide body styling, making it a pure driver's car with 335 horsepower. 33 is my favorite number.
There you go.
You've just brought me home.
It's super fast
Sure.
and yet easy
How
to
often do you
understand.
drive it?
Once every 6 months for like 100
So when's
kilometers.
the next 6 months?
We can arrange that 6 months.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
Please. I'm happy to do it. We should have done the podcast in the car.
No, it'll look like some other shows I've seen, and then they'll say we are copying. So rather not.
I mean, listen, everyone's imitating a version of something, right? That's my thing.
That is
like,
true.
I don't mind you being inspired by something. I think imitation is a cheap shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would have made it nice because how many people have a
1M. There you go. There you go. Anyway, where do we start with you?
Have we
Because
not started?
We haven't started.
Oh my gosh.
No, we haven't. Because there's so much about you and something that comes across a lot for me, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I think you feel you have a responsibility to your community, to the colored community. Am I wrong in making that?
No, you're 100% correct.
And why is that? Why do you feel this burden?
That's such a powerful word to use for that. A burden.
Because you have to carry it.
I don't carry it as a burden. I
Okay.
carry it as an honor. Am I responsible for the colored community? No, I'm not. Did God place something on my heart from a very young age? Yes. I was raised in a community where if I wasn't as clear as I was, I would be a statistic today. If I didn't have some of the influences I had in my life, I would be a statistic today. It's easier to become a stat than it is to make a breakthrough. I realized then that it wasn't because I was more talented or more special than anyone else in my community. I had to stick to a choice, and that choice was oftentimes very lonely. Didn't have many friends in my community. I didn't do the things that other people did. There was a part of me that had to dislike my community where I grew up so much that I wouldn't get comfortable there. And so I grew up as a young girl very uncomfortable with my environment because I didn't want to be comfortable. And that became something I think that drove me. I knew I need to leave here. I need to go. And at 18, I did. So when we talk around the optics of, well, what does that look like? It looks like a young girl who was raised in a family, initially with 4 boys. I was the only girl, and a stepdad. And there were parts of just my immediate family home that was very troublesome and sad often. And dance became the place where I didn't have to carry that sadness because it gave me a goal, a focus, vision. And then I had a dance teacher who drove 45 kilometers to fetch me for dance, or I wouldn't have been able to dance. Without that sacrifice, I wouldn't have had the breakthrough, right? I would have been a stat. So there are many people who don't have that, and I understand that. And so if I got given all of that, how dare I fail at that? That's the burden.
What did Debbie see in you?
Oof. God knows.
Must have seen something.
You asked that question. No one's ever asked me that before. I don't think she saw a colored girl she needed to give charity to. I think for me, even when I look at it now and with the workshops I teach and with the young people I teach in communities, it's not about charity, it's about dignity. She didn't know it, but she gave me dignity.
Yeah.
She gave me the will to go. That overused, I suppose, saying of it's not where you come from, it's where you're going. She lived that for me. So I went from being this young colored girl who was in a colored community, but then spent a lot of time with white people in the studio, being at some point the only colored girl in the studio, the only girl of color in the studio, and having white people open up their homes to me because I couldn't get back from rehearsals, or we have rehearsals on a Saturday and I can't get back home. There's no public transport. I mean, my public transport started at 6 p.m. and I would get home between 8:30 and 9 from the age of 13. My parents had moved me to a school in the CBD, so I could access public transport because for 2 years, Debbie had driven 45 kilometers. And so the next leg was a teenager who would then take public transport and carry her load to realize this dream. Yeah, it's when we say, what did Debbie see in me? Something I hadn't yet seen in myself. Something no one else saw. And for us as a society, as a South African society, I feel like that's where we're lacking at the moment. We're not reminding young people how we see them, the potential we see in them, the good we see in them. We're quick to criticize at every turn and we don't give acknowledgement at all. So the scale's completely tipped, right? Like I'm quick to say, but David, you did this and this and this. But I'm not quick to say, David, your podcast, man, it's making a difference, you know? And I feel like intentionally we need to start moving back into seeing the goodness while we're doing our critical analysis and we're giving the feedback to improve something. Let's also land what is good. They say it's bite and blow. You know?
Yeah.
So while I was at the studio, my dance teacher gave me lessons on how to speak, you know, how to pronounce things, how to sit, how to this. And later on in my career, I didn't realize it at the time. And often I would forget to switch off the white accent when I got back to my community.
You would go back.
And my brothers would make fun of me because when I get home, I would need to speak like this again. I must go back down into the heavier based accent, you know, like it's here in my throat. It's not here. You know?
And it's not polished.
It's not polished. Then I realized later in my career what a service that was. And this is something that still remains so sad to me. When you look at successful colored people who speak in a very authentic colored accent, people listen to how they sound rather than to what they're saying. And so often the valuable things that they're offering of themselves is lost because people are ragging the accent, you know. I've not had an interview where people have focused on my accent. They focused on what I've had to say. So again there, I got to have a voice that wasn't tormented by public mockery.
Wow. Again, going back home, define and describe the Cape Flats that you were born into.
Oof. So I was born in Manenberg, then raised in Mitchell's Plain for a bit with my gran, and then my mom moved to Easter River. It's different, you know, with regards to, you know, some areas are a little more violent, a little bit more rough, crime-ridden than other areas are. We lived in what they called the nicer part of the Cape Flats when we moved to Easter River.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if nice is still...
How do you define nicer in that context?
So nice in this context would mean you have a freestanding home. It's not a flat. You're not going to sleep listening to gunshots, which is what most colored people experience still today. Nice is, I mean, you know, I remember the anxiety of being 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, being dropped off at the bus stop. And when I got off the bus, and I was so well known on the bus that if I was late catching my bus, the drivers and the people on the bus would know me so well, they would wait 5 minutes for me because they knew my schedule.
Yeah.
And I would because it went from Groote Schuur Hospital. So a lot of the nurses, the staff would take that bus, and they would make me do my homework on the bus.
What?
And when I was done with my homework, I could sleep. So I would sleep on the bus. I had these strangers who just took me in. I was like the child of the bus, you know.
Wow.
And a stop before my stop, they would wake me up and go, "You're next." They'd wake me up, get my things together so I'd be ready for my stop. And I remember I'd get off and they would drop me on the corner. And the distance that I would have to go to get to my house by foot went past an open field. They called it the bush. And I would remember every single time, 3 to 4 times a week at night. And in winter, it was dark, of course, at that time already. I would stand with my backpack and in my school clothes because there wasn't enough. I couldn't carry too much baggage. So after dance, I'd put my school clothes back on. And I'd stand on the corner and I'd go like, right, we really have to run this distance.
Whoa.
And I would stand there and prep. And when I start running, the bus driver would leave.
Whoa.
He would wait until I was ready to run the distance past the field. Because in the field, with the bushes and the shrubs and the trees and the whatever, you could be violated in that space.
Yeah.
And so I would run my best run past that field as a young girl.
What? Every day?
4 times at least a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When you think back to that time, because, you know, you're very clear in saying that it still happens today. We all know that.
Yeah.
But the soldiers are deployed in some parts of Cape Town for that very reason.
Yes.
Very little has changed. This is a big question.
I have an opinion on that, though. Very little has changed because...
At least it looks like it.
I mean, you use it as a tactic for good media to say that you're taking care of people. What would be good is if you were consistent in how you resolve the issue, the challenge. How many deaths aren't reported in all colored communities? Yeah. Now you see fathers being killed and the sons of those fathers are now taking each other out. And so it's never ending. It's escalated. It's in worse shape than it's ever been. I think the fact that the drug use in colored communities is so rife, if we see it, how are our leaders not seeing it?
Yeah.
And so you use the soldiers and the, armed force to make an impression that looks good for you, but it's never served the people. It was never to serve the people, because if it was to serve the people, kids wouldn't be dying in colored communities still.
Yeah. What in your opinion, and having grown up in that space, informs the state of mind that leads to this type of violence? What have you observed?
I think this problem started more years back than even we can imagine, right? I have this theory of, so if colored people were so privileged, why is my mom not handing down a suburban house to me? Why am I inheriting a house that's still in the community if we were so privileged? You know, why did my dad not buy me a car at 18 if we were so privileged?
Yeah.
Why don't I have more lawyers and doctors in my extended family if our education was better? So there are all these, I suppose, assumptions around what the colored community was. And the saddest thing is that even as colored people, we don't know the whole story. So it's very difficult to address what we feel happened or what the lack is or how something can be addressed when we don't understand our entire history. When we were classed as colored people, it was because we weren't black and we weren't white. We were other. So let's put these other people together. And so where do you begin to start unpacking what your heritage is, what your lineage is, where you really come from? You know, I always say this thing, I wish that the passport system hadn't changed, because I'm sure that if colored people went and did their analysis of what the ancestral line is like, some of us could have had passports, you know?
Taking that time.
Yes, a British passport, because we don't know the entirety of where we are from. And so, you know, it's always been interesting being a colored woman in this industry, in this country, in my community, because I was a different colored woman in my community too. I was defying odds from a very young age. But I do think that if we look at, you know, the strength of a colored woman, people often refer to colored women as crazy. I'm sure you've heard that. Hey, coloreds. It's a sore point for me that someone said I was going to crown your show. I'm doing everything in my power.
Hold on to that.
To not shed a tear, even though some of these things are jerking at my heartstrings.
I'm ready to.
I'm maintaining my makeup.
I'm not encouraging.
No.
Really providing.
Did you bring out the tissues?
We probably have some there. We normally have some on that side. Yeah, there you go.
You're impressive.
We realize.
Goodness.
Let me tell you, that chair. I don't know what happened to it. It just brings tears. I don't even know.
No, I'm gonna preserve.
No,
makeup.
do your best.
Yeah. Do your best. He said.
Whatever happens. Yes.
It is when your men who are required to be the leaders of your community are subdued with mandrax and alcohol, who is going to fetch the child out of the drug house?
Yeah.
It's the woman. For the woman to have to do that, she would have to step into a masculine energy and become tough like a man to save her child's life, to save her family.
She has to go crazy. She literally has to go crazy.
So our men were disempowered through chemicals, through alcohol. And who was left?
Yeah.
The women.
Yeah.
So when we come across as aggressive, or we come across, which we are not, but when we come across as masculine, or like we just have this aggression in us, it's not aggression, it's protection. It's what we had to learn and what was passed down to us generation to generation, because you didn't have fear to. I've seen my gran go down the road and go fetch my cousins out of we would call it like a smokkelhuis. It's where people drink. She'd go fetch them, and there's men there, and she'd walk in there with no fear and be like, "What are you doing here? Come!" And no one's going to touch her. Now, you can't walk in there and be like, "What are you doing here?" No. So that kind of masculinity was something that happened because we had to survive. When bullets are going, you can't panic. You got to get the kids under the table and safe. You got to get the kids under the beds and safe. You got to know when to shout duck, because perhaps your partner, your husband, your brother, your cousin who's male is not compass mentis enough to handle the situation.
Absolutely. Well, you know what puzzles me? South Africa is a violent country almost throughout.
Yeah.
Every corner of it. We all pray that one day all this will be history. What has always puzzled me, though, and this is based purely on ignorance, and if I phrase this incorrectly, just bear with me, that how such women that you describe are still not able to club these men into shape so they don't do this thing to each other. Why is it that these men because they started as boys, no one is born 18 and difficult to handle. They start as young boys that are 3 and 4, and then they become 5. Now they have an opinion, and then suddenly they do stuff outside, and they still have to come home to sleep because they're kids. They still have to depend on you as a parent for money to go to school and so forth and so forth. I keep thinking, at what stage, and I'm not saying this only as a colored problem necessarily, just as a society problem.
Yeah,
exactly.
in our community.
Yes.
Yeah.
At what stage do we lose complete control of our boys to a point where they have guns now? We're afraid of them.
Yes. For me, the overarching thing is what we've normalized. I think the things as a country, in our communities, what we've accepted as normal is the root of the problem.
Yeah.
As South Africans, we're known for being adaptable, to adjust, to endure. And while that's a great thing, it's also the thing that works against us, because even with the conditions that we live in, we endure it and we push through it. And so I feel even with our young men in our communities, there's certain things that have been normalized. And if they're normalized, they're accepted. And this now becomes our life.
Because what confuses me also about it is that we normalize things that are bad. They continue to be worse because we think that now they are acceptable.
Yes.
Now we in South Africa have this weird thing. We also call it resilience.
Yeah.
And it's like such a nonsense concept because you shouldn't be exposed to all of this in the first place for you to be resistant to it. And that's what we've normalized. We've normalized we are resilient and we laugh it off. We're very quick to joke around some of the worst cases, the most heinous realities. And you're right. Maybe we need to change our normalization of these things.
We do, right? And we need to ask the question, perhaps, what is resilience and what is inhumane?
Exactly.
Why did we overcome apartheid? Because we had a common goal. Our goals are so divided now because we're all in survival mode. There's so many things wrong that we don't know where to begin. We don't have a common goal. We don't know what it is. I feel often as a woman in this country, you live in fight or flight and flee all the time, consistently. When someone is approaching a woman, you're not thinking of dying. You're thinking, please kill me so that you don't have to violate me. A man thinks, please don't kill me. It's very different
mindset.
It's so all the time, looking over your shoulder is normalized. Is that resilience?
No.
Or is that inhumane?
That's
all the time. And I'm speaking from a woman's perspective because I know it firsthand. I was 13 running across a field. It's been with me my whole life. And so when people say, oh, you need to learn how to not stress. When I was diagnosed with an autoimmune in 2017, the doctor said, you need to not stress. I said, ma'am, so when I stop at the traffic lights, I shouldn't look in all directions like I've got an itch on the back of my neck, right? I don't do that because I'm stressed. I do that because it's necessary. It's survival. And that's the reality for me of being a woman in South Africa. It doesn't matter what race, culture, or creed I am, is that our situations are very different.
100%.
Very different. You and I as man and woman, it's very different. They say if you locked all men up at a curfew time, at 8 o'clock, you say to all men, you're not allowed to come outside. Women wouldn't need to do that.
We are the problem. Yeah. Interesting. On the radio today, I was asking, what is it that has led to our teenagers, our kids behaving the way they do? It links to this conversation. because we were saying they are difficult to live with, they're unruly, and so forth and so forth. As you know, listeners would throw in literally 100 different opinions to the same problem. Then we elevated the conversation the following day, which is a day or so ago. We said, what is it that, is it a single parenthood? Or a two-parent mom and dad setup that improves things? And of course, people say absolutely not. It's you have to control the situation. You can have a bad environment with a single parent. You can have a bad environment with with two parents, and then it went on to society. It went on to you can't control the kids. Kids will be who they are. You know, we had all these
opinions about it.
Yes.
And that's the thing. We all have thoughts. We don't have answers, right?
No.
And it's different. The same shoe doesn't fit every family. I have to agree, though, that a single parent who is sound is much more valuable to a young person than a couple who are not. And I know this with my life. I had a stepdad and my mom. I had to unlearn love. What love looked like.
What?
Because that love was not a template I should have ever have followed, right? And so when I look at that, I spend so much of my time choosing partners from a wound. And then I'm blaming the guy, but I'm looking for something that I am not even cognizant of, that I should be unlearning, you know? And so I had to unlearn the wrong template for love. And at some point, you know, Pretty Woman was my template for love. And I was like, oh, a guy's going to come save me.
Oh, no.
And then you make choices from that wound. I think what we as parents and myself included, the world's changed so much that in our days, we lived and learned from the experience. Our kids have the information and not chasing the experience. It's almost flipped.
Absolutely.
They have so much information at their disposal that they'll know something that perhaps isn't suitable for their maturity level or for their age, but they're chasing that experience because the information is leading them rather than the experience and the lesson learned from the experience itself. So it's very different to what we had.
100%.
And again, it's that question of, as parents, are we asking our kids to be who we want them to be or who they truly are? What conversations are we having out of interest of who this human is? Are we spending the time just disciplining, or are we having conversations like you and I are having today? And our kids need that. And if we're not having the conversation, surely social media is informing that conversation for them, you know? It's a very, very different time in which we raise our kids.
Sure.
And it requires us to introspect with ourselves what that looks like now, so we know what space our kids need for us to hold. Why is it not working, the same parenting style? Because we've evolved.
Sure.
Not just as a country, as you know, globally, all of us as a human race, we've evolved.
So much has happened around us that we had to adapt and adjust.
Right.
And we're here now.
And so the question is, like, where are our kids now? Where are our young people now? And I think as older people, I always say older, mature people, myself included, because I'm there now.
I'm sorry.
Even though in my head I'm forever 28, I think, forever 28. I just keep saying that. That's my affirmation. Is the fact that I think we're not brave to look at what we may not have resolved for ourselves. We're always trying to outdo what our parents did or not do what they didn't do, instead of looking at what we learned from where they came short or what they did well. We're so focused on how they messed us up that we're consistently living to prove that we'll be better parents. We'll be better than they were. Our parents were human too. And I always say this, my kids raised me too.
Yeah.
I didn't only raise them. There were things about myself I learned through being a parent, and some of those things were easy and some of them were really hard. It required me to sit and look at where I came short and where I could have done better. And that takes some, you have to take stock of self. And where are we as adults? You know, before we used to get told, hey, you will respect me. Kids are told now that they have choice. So now the contradiction between the will and you have choice, like you will do this and you have choice, is a contradiction.
What do
where
I do?
do they stand?
Yeah.
Also, we have this thing, this chip on our shoulder that our young people have to respect us. No, we give them the respect which they will return. There is nothing I have learned for me in my life. You cannot get what you don't give. If you want grace, give people grace too. If you want love, give love. And without, again, taking keeping a score sheet. The things in my life that I do simply because it pleases God. And it pleases God. I'm good with that. What you do with it, may you be accountable for it. Yeah. But I cannot chameleon so that, you don't hurt me. You don't hurt me. You can't make me do anything. The only thing you can make me is a cup of tea. I choose whether it angers me. I choose whether it hurts me.
That's it.
And I have to sit with that. And I think our kids are asking of us, our young people are asking of us to self-reflect too.
For me, that big question about today's kids is our role in how they've become what they are. Because I realize in listening to a lot of the commentary, there's a them and us. I was like, but you do realize for them to get here, you had to be in the room. And that's why when I asked that question earlier, I said, there was a time where the gang boss was 3. 3 years old. Who was in the room when he was becoming the gang boss? You know what I mean? Then there was a time when he was 7 and 8. And then he joined the gang. Who was in the house? He had to sleep somewhere. He didn't sleep at the gang house.
Right.
He had to sleep at home with mommy and daddy. What was going on there? And for us to now say, these young people of today, we don't know what's going on with them. Where were we when they became that?
Yes, I agree. Where were we? That's the thing. When I chose to play Tyson, I had to sit for a bit and really embrace that someone who is that way. And when I mean that way, I mean violent like that, like crass like that, crude like that, cold like that, is someone's child.
Yes.
And I don't get to judge that.
Yeah.
There have been great parents who have raised kids and they didn't turn out the way the parents had anticipated, Often I hear people say, my parents were too soft. And then I hear other people say, my parents were too hard.
Yes.
And it's like, well, which one were parents supposed to choose? And I think our journey as older people, whether you're a parent or not, is to look at what we need to forgive ourselves for. And therefore, if we can hold forgiveness for ourselves, we'll be able to afford someone else the sincere forgiveness, not the forgiveness to just get over it, the forgiveness that provides peace. There's a difference.
For both parties.
For both parties. Yes. But that has to start with you, right?
Yeah.
The most groundbreaking realization for me in this life was to realize that my parents were human too.
Wow.
They are human too. They didn't have a clue about certain things too.
They were figuring it out themselves.
They were figuring it out too.
Yeah.
And so if I ask for forgiveness for my flaws, surely I should afford them that too. They're
true.
human.
Yeah.
They don't have it figured out.
Whew. That's a big and important realization for a lot of people.
Me.
Yes.
Absolutely freed me and allowed me to become human too, Did
it take you long to get to that stage? Sorry?
It happens in stages.
Okay. It wasn't a
aha. You know that thing that Oprah says, the aha moment? I'm like, that aha moments took many, many aha moments along the way. There's no one epiphany. But it required me to self-reflect. It required me to see the good, not just the bad. Often when we look at our past, we forget to look at the good. We're always focusing on what was bad, right? And how we came up from that. No, what was good? Remember that too, because the scales need balance. They do.
There was a good day in the middle of the mess.
There were many. There were many good days. And even though the bad stuff was happening, I think later on in our lives, if we look back, it's like I say, I thank God that I've gone to sleep with a hungry stomach, right? in my childhood. I'm so glad because now when a hungry stomach threatens me, what I should be doing is going, I've been hungry before, I didn't die, I'm good.
Yes.
But instead, we panic about what's happening in our lives so much, forgetting that in fact that hardship God gave us in our past should be a reflection point of how we can get through this next thing.
It was an armor, an extra layer of your strength.
You know?
Yes.
And so as we let go of things, maybe we look at trees in autumn, they don't cry. They don't cry every winter going, God's taking my leaves. They don't. They simply allow and embrace.
Yeah.
And I feel like the programming of what pain means, what it means to lose your leaves, what it means to stand naked, we've been taught that it only exists in a certain way. What if in that time I can be still and go, thank you? Because shedding my leaves means that in this next season, my roots will deepen so that my branches can learn the sky. You're asking God to be a big tree. You can't be a big tree without deep roots.
Yes.
And deep roots are hard because they have to break ground and go into the dark. So as your tree expands, I mean, we can stay a shrub. I know I didn't ask God to be a shrub. I mean, I should have thought about that more carefully because wow, could have been a rose bush. They only grow to a...
You would have been tiny and we would have pruned you and...
Yes, and I would have been just like drinking my cup of tea.
A chihuahua.
Right? A chihuahua. Exactly.
Yes.
I ask God to be a great tree, to be a tree that can provide sometimes shade for others, that can provide rest for others sometimes, that can be a wonder to experience, you know. And I know that because I've asked for that, my roots have to be deepened or my tree will fall over, and my God will not allow this tree to fall.
I want to go back to a moment in your life to dad. You speak about stepdad.
Yes.
And zero is said about...
My dad.
Yeah.
My dad is my absolute hero. My mom is too. But you know, there's a thing that happens between dads and daughters. It's inexplicable. They say for a son, his first love is his mom. And for a daughter, her first love is her dad. I remember growing up, we used to have red floors and, you know, you have to polish them, and wooden floors. And my dad used
Sunbeam.
Yes, sunbeam.
Yeah.
Yes, and my dad used to do it on his hands and knees.
Wow.
And his thing was, he would call me and go, Lorcia, it's time to polish the floors. But what that meant was he was on his hands and knees and I was on his back holding his T-shirt and he was my horse. And
yes, you were playing horsey and he was working.
And he was working. But for him, it was such a moment. I think one of the fondest things about the memories that I have about my dad is him lifting me up on his shoulders. And I could see a view of the world I'd never seen before. Yeah. And so I suppose even as a young girl, I had a perception of depth, you know, because I would look at the world and be like, my dad is making me see this. It's because of my dad's shoulders that I
lifted me up, yeah.
Right?
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, it's you know, it's why Cooper has always been with me all along. I view it as an honor to my father. I'm his only, you know, girl child. And I completely debunk the perception that only boy children can carry your legacy. I've consciously chosen to carry my father's legacy, to carry his name, because it's patriarchy that taught us that only boys can, right? Because of how marriage is set up.
Yes.
So it gives me great pride to say Cooper because I know I carry it for him, you know? My dad wouldn't let anyone raise their voice around me. We used to visit my gran in Mannenberg, and the guys around him couldn't speak loudly if I was there. So it's like these little moments, you know, and he calls me Cooksy. That's his name. To this day, he calls me Cooksy. Wow. Yeah, I can proudly say he was the first love of my life.
Mm-hmm. Have you always had a relatively smooth relationship?
I mean, you know, when parents split up, especially back in the day, there's always distance. Whoever's the primary caregiver, whatever their life is about, is what the kids' lives become about. So I didn't see as much of my father as I would have wanted to.
After the separation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's the way the world is, For my dad, fortunately, I got to talk with him about it. And that's the thing, is that as kids, we assume that it was done to us. And I'm not negating the fact that often there are things that are done to kids. When I had the conversation with my dad, I said, I don't want for you to apologize or to say sorry as to why you weren't there as often as you could have been. I want to know why. Because I don't think I understand why you could have left me.
Did he give you a good enough answer?
He did. He gave me an answer. He said, well, you guys had a family. I didn't want to be an interruption to it. I didn't want to cause any. And that often happens too, right? Is that there'll be conflict because the other parent is trying to see their kids or be a part of their kids' lives. And so my dad did what he thought was the honorable thing, which was to take a step back.
And let this be.
And let this family be so that we could have peace. But there's no one in the world who could have replaced my dad. And I don't think he knew that at the time. And I wasn't mature enough to articulate that. Because then I also learned to keep the peace, But I think, for everyone out there, before we cast the judgment and don't forgive, ask why. Give me understanding as to why you did that.
You'll be surprised at the answer.
The answer blew my mind. He thought he was doing an honorable thing. He thought he was making our lives easier. How can you not understand that?
It's amazing how doing the right thing inherently left so much pain as well.
Yeah, because he was doing the right thing according to him. Because there's nothing worse than a tumultuous relationship, between two parents who are going at each other. There's nothing nice about that too. Yeah. And on the other hand, there's nothing nice about not seeing your dad as much as you want to, So which choice? Which choice is the one? Which is the choice? And so, yeah, to everyone who's has unresolved, I suppose, experiences with their parents, ask why. They may be able to answer you and they may not, and that's okay, but you've asked why, And hopefully your kids can hold you with the same kind of consideration because you can't get what you don't give.
They'll watch this and they'll change their minds.
I mean, they don't have to, They don't have to. No one has the monopoly on whether you change your mind or your heart or who you love or what you do. Yeah. Everyone has the divine right of choice. It's why I say don't ever pray for someone to love you. You're violating their divine right of choice. How can you ask God to make them?
Well, hey man, I think they look hot.
Just saying.
And I want them to love me.
You know what I realized growing up? Because I was raised with all boys, so I have a very boy side to me. Actually, men or boys or the male species, I understand them a lot better than I do women very often. Okay. Because with men you just go, what are you doing? It doesn't have to be tentative and how am I going into this and and I've watched it with my brothers. It's the performative nature that I think causes men to suppress so much that there is no point at which they're decompressing. Because should you come home to me in tears, what do I view it as? Do I view it as weakness? Or do I view it as I suppose, an opportunity to show you that you're held without judgment because you're human before you're male?
That's true.
Right?
I dated someone who I cried in front of them and it changed the way they saw me.
You see?
Permanently.
And so, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You can always come cry with me.
No, don't worry.
No,
it's okay.
You can call
I'm
me.
glad it happened.
You can call me and pull up in the 1M. We'll sit in the 1M.
And cry.
And we will cry together. There is a solution. So I think, as humans, Perhaps if we paused for a moment, I always call myself to pause between the breaths. It's made me less reactive and defensive to life, to people, to situations. Pause between the breath. And if I need more than that pause between the breath, I will fake a toilet breath and I will get myself out of that space, out of that situation, and I will sit in the toilet and I will self-regulate before I enter the space again. No one can stop you from weeing.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
It's always a good enough reason.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I really need the loo. And then like right now in the middle, I'm like, yeah, because I can feel my heart racing. I'm starting to tremble. There's a lump in my throat. I need to self-regulate so I can honor what we are doing in this time. Self-regulation is your responsibility, right? So with a lot of, men that I get to share space with, my brothers, friends, cousins, my son, I see how the performative nature is something that society demands, or you're weak. And I feel like that's what we need to change. Men have suppressed so much that the only way to get it out sometimes is in the form of aggression or anger. If you keep something in long enough, you will snap.
It will explode.
It will explode. Ask us when we're PMSing. The whole week we're trying to keep it in and then we're biting people's heads off because we're not getting the moment to just go, I'm feeling sad.
Yeah.
Because why work doesn't allow for that, right? How can you be sad at work? You got to deliver. And so for me, I know in my immediate world, I've become very cognizant and intentional about allowing men to be human, to be able to come home confused. Can you imagine you're confused? You go, I got it. You're sad. You're like, no, I'm cool. Or you don't know what you're supposed to do. And you're like, no, here's the plan. Everything is performative. That would be like me playing Tyson every day in my life. And that's not who I truly am.
No one wants to be that.
No one needs to be a man who's pretending to be who he's not every single day of his life. He is role playing. That is exhausting. It feels exhausting to me. How do you feel about that, David?
I'll tell you, I do the best I can to reflect on it. I do the best I can to speak about it. And fortunately, I have an audience that's receptive of it. Like I gave that example earlier of someone who wasn't.
Yes, and that's what I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
How have you reconciled after that experience with yourself?
I must admit, I've never wanted to hide my feelings because one thing I've learned over time is that you can't truly hide them. That those will pick up on the slight irregularity in your personality. Yes. Particularly if you're generally quite, happy-going. Those bumps will be obvious. So then then you choose in moments like that, do I hide even the hiding? Because then now you have to hide twice. Yes. Or do I just say, hey man, I'm not doing well. However, I'll be okay. And here's something that has helped me with it. It's radio. Yes. Because on radio, when I switch on the mic every day, my job requires me to give you a decent experience. Yes. I'm a receptionist at Avis. I have to smile, even if I'm having issues. So then I would allocate my smile for the 3 hours. Yes. Perform the 3 hours. Yes. But live my real life beyond that. Yes. So if there's something, I will then express it. Yes. And I have a relationship. I've had a relationship that a big problem was created by silence. Right. Silence is what caused the problem. Exactly. Yes. To become explosive. And that was a big lesson for me. To say you don't bottle. You don't keep it in. Because if you keep it in, we don't know what other decisions are made around that silence that are going to have a huge impact on everything else. The whole house will be destroyed because when you had to mention that you are not good, you didn't. Right. And there was an assumption that you were fine. Yes. And that assumption led to other decisions made around that. So if you're not good, you can't keep it quiet. Right. Because a lot of people, most of us, and actually almost all of us, when you're not well, you will show it. Yes. In your silence,
and that's the thing, right? Is for men, how are you showing it? Because that's the question.
Yeah.
No one says you can't show it, but the how you show it is as important as the why you're showing it, right? So you and I perhaps have a disagreement. The disagreement's not the issue at hand, right? How we hold space for each other, how we engage while disagreeing is more important than why we're disagreeing, right?
100%.
So how are men expressing this?
We express it through violence. We express it through not coming home because I don't want to be exposed to the situation.
Right.
We express it. Decisions are made long before I confront this. Decisions of hanging out with the boys longer, decision of drinking, decision of beating someone up, decision of getting violent even outside, not necessarily at home all the time, decision of these weird things that when you look at them, it's like, but why is he like this? He's expressing this guy. You know, I've had friends who've gone through divorce, and one of them very often says, dude, I couldn't believe I would wait for a particular time to go home because I knew when I get there, they're sleeping. Oh. Imagine that.
I mean, I don't have to. It's happening. I don't have to imagine it. It's happening more often than not.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe
that's what happened.
If you had to provide a probable solution to that, what do you think it would be? Because here's the thing. When that person lacked the capacity to treat you humanely when you cried, that was not your failure. Right?
But I didn't know that. At the time, I interpreted as being my problem.
So do you see how these are the conversations we should be having? These are the real conversations we should be having.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
When we talk about the male-female dynamic, when we talk about women being in their sympathetic nervous system and in anxiety all the time because we fear men and what are the real conversations we're having around this?
Yeah.
Because it does start at the root of it, at the foundation of it, right? So, I mean, you know, if I were a man, I'd go home and just start crying and see what the reaction is early on in the relationship. Very early on. And then I'd be like, okay, wrong one. Because really, if you're being truthful about your human experience, how do I judge that but then expect you to be the best version of yourself when you're consistently a performative, curated version of yourself?
But remember, you are also coming from an environment that says men shouldn't do this. What kind of man is this that is crying?
Why aren't we questioning the programming?
You see, that's really what it is.
So why aren't we?
Because you're also wrongly programmed when you are saying to me, why are you crying? When you can see that tears are starting to form in his eyes, and immediately say, you don't cry.
Yes.
Men don't do this.
Right.
And then you realize immediately that she also has a bad program.
Yes. Yes. Do you think that performative nature was something that was passed down through the father lineage?
No questions about it. It's not only father, it's society. The concept of
Do you know, in reality, I'm forgetting we're even doing this. We are literally in a coffee shop having a conversation. That's brilliant. Let's talk to that father, the father lineage, the habitual behavior of the father that becomes the son.
I wouldn't even give full credit to the father. I would give a lot of credit to the society where the father exists in, and because he also inherited this program from others.
Yes,
and the concept of us raised by a society is 100% true. We are not only raised by the men that are supposedly in the house, but not necessarily in the house because half the time they're not home.
Yes.
And now we observe what we see. We observe the tough guy next door.
Yes.
We observe the tough guy who's driving a nicer car.
Yes.
Who's hanging out with prettier girls, who's dressed nicely.
Yes.
We observe those and we want to emulate. And he's strong. His voice is louder. His laughter is louder. In the room, everybody waits for him to say something before they speak. Everyone is looking for his opinion. We have all those and we look at that and he's a tough guy who doesn't cry, or at least we think he doesn't. And then we go to TV. We hardly see the lead actor crying. We see them going through a hard time and they grow beard.
Yes.
And then
they look scruffy.
They look scruffy.
And they may be drinking a whiskey.
Exactly.
Yes.
You see,
in
we
a
see
nice
them
glass.
do that.
Yes. Yeah.
We see them become that, but we don't necessarily see them express deep emotion that are readily available, which is crying.
Yes.
So all of these tools come around us and we become those.
Yes.
Today's time, we see them more and more on our phone.
Yes.
They look good. They look great. They don't laugh. They are laughing. They're having a good time. We want to be them.
Yes.
Madlanga Commission is riddled with these type of figures.
Right.
That are strong and they wanted to solve a problem in their families and so forth.
Yes.
And they chose what they chose. And that's really what we are.
Yes.
Our society is made up of all of that. And then we expect these young men to easily just...
Yes. And so now when we ask the question of our young people, right? Our young boys are living in a world where the curation of self has become very expensive because we don't have the grounding we used to have before.
We don't.
We don't.
It's very, very different now.
We don't, you know.
Yeah.
My mom raising me, I remember every Sunday we walked to church. But I used to have to walk to church in a little hill and stockings. And by God, if I came back with even a ladder or a hole in that stocking, boy, oh boy.
You're in trouble.
I was going to get handed.
Yo.
Yeah.
What impression did that leave with you?
Pride.
Yeah.
Absolute pride. I don't think pride is a matter of poverty. I think we've lost our sense of pride. I think we've lost our sense of keeping ourselves dignified, that we're looking for someone else to give it to us. That's a job of self, you know. That's something we create. Our forefathers, our grandparents, great-grandparents had poverty too.
Yes.
But you'd never walk into their house and it wasn't ordered. There was nothing expensive in that house, but it was ordered. Things were clean. They were set in a certain way. It's pride.
We know how to use a brasso.
Yes.
To shine.
Yes,
things.
the bras.
Yes.
Yes.
We know how to use that.
Of course.
Because it would shine even a tap.
Yes.
It would make it look so good.
Listen, and the red floor.
Yes.
The red floor. I'll never forget. I should maybe do a film called The Red Floor. The red floor.
Almost all of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s.
So I think we've exchanged this. We've kind of traded off pride, and we've used the excuse that it's because we are lacking that we don't have pride. You know, my mother always said to me, Lorcia, don't ever look like your problems. Don't ever. So if you ever see me dressed the best, I'm probably going through the most.
You're compensating.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, this problem's big. You better show up in a nice outfit. No, but really, I think we need to get back to that. What are we proud of? What are we proud of? And you know, and it's like you look at our communities, it's not necessary that we don't present ourselves in the best way possible.
That's true.
That how our homes feel and look, a child wants to be in. They're not looking down the road. They're not looking for somewhere else. They're not looking for a blesser. They're not looking for the next best deal.
They got it at home.
They got it at home.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like my dad always used to buy me KFC. I thought it was the best thing ever. That when I was a young girl and a guy used to buy me food, I was like, do you think this is impressive?
You don't know
my dad filled my tummy long time ago. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's
so
like
that KFC stayed with
me, and it was KFC, but it was like the KFC was for me probably the equivalent of going to Signature,
yeah.
you know, or Marvel. For me, it was KFC, and I was like, yeah, my dad got me that. Your meal that you're not feeding me, I'm a fed kid.
I'm good.
You know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you witness the breakage of the relationship?
No,
your
I was
parents?
4.
Ah.
Yeah.
You were not
No, I was
scared
little
enough to notice.
But I missed both my parents because we moved to my gran. You know, that happens in our communities. Parents split up, you go to the grandparents so that the parents can sort out their lives.
During the transition.
During the transition. And if you end up at the mom's family, you normally miss out on the dad's family. And I missed out on a lot of my dad's family.
Oh, no.
But that happens. It's the norm. I'm not unique in this, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always such a sad thing. Again, how families don't look at the kid as we need to make this kid grow up as balanced as possible.
Because we haven't healed.
Yeah.
Because we haven't done the work to resolve our shortcomings, our wounds. And so we're using those wounds to navigate a different set of circumstances. I'll never let a man treat me like that again. I'll never this, I'll never that. And, you know, they're people who stay together because they don't want their kids to come from a broken home, but that marriage is dysfunctional.
That's it.
Because they're like, we're not getting divorced. That's what my parents did. But it's not the divorce that's the issue. It's the where are we meeting each other, you know?
Kenny Nkosi said something on this podcast. He said, we divorced because we were terrible for our children.
Yes.
Staying together was a bad thing for our kids.
Yes.
And we knew that. We picked up on it and we said, maybe if there's ever a good enough reason, so we can give them a fair chance.
And not weaponize each other's shortcomings or where we're coming short. We're human, you know, and we think that being kind or having a peaceful conversation is weakness. It's not weakness. In fact, that's the greatest strength.
Mm-hmm.
It's the greatest strength not to have to raise your voice, not to have to prove someone wrong. Because while you're trying to prove them wrong, they're also trying to prove you wrong.
100%.
And so now where's this tennis match going?
You're missing each other.
Completely, because we both have an agenda to expose each other.
Yeah.
For the sake of who? And so for me, that's why it's become my absolute, that's my marker. Does this please God? Does my heart please God? Because if I want to win over you or I want to win at your expense, surely that cannot please God.
Somebody's losing.
So in every area of my life, be it personal, be it social, be it work, I always want to know, is God pleased with my heart?
Yeah. Having to integrate into a new setting, now moving from Gran, all 4 of you.
Yeah. No. Whew.
Is it?
So there were my 2 brothers. My brother and myself are from my mom and dad's relationship. Then my mom married someone and had a child.
Okay.
My baby brother. And then my stepdad came with his 2 kids. So that's how I ended up with 4 boys. Mm-hmm. But then those 2 boys eventually moved to their mom. And then I was with 2 boys in the house. Yeah. But I was always the only girl and always in the middle.
All the time, throughout?
Throughout.
Whether they were the other 2 around or not.
I was the only girl.
How did you navigate that role though?
I actually liked it. I think being raised with boys was something special on its own. Made me street smart from very young, you know, because boys know the streets unlike girls do. It protected me from a lot, just with regards to my brothers they would get sight of someone who likes me before I would, and they wouldn't even approach. Yeah. Because my brothers would be on it, like, don't you dare go near my sister. So there were great perks about it, you know. I think it also toughened me up a lot. I don't think I would have been as empowered as I was at 18 to leave home if I wasn't raised with boys.
Do you reckon that extra feather?
Yeah, definitely. It gave me the oomph in my step, you know. It definitely gave me the oomph in my step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing for you to say the difference in that regard for girls and boys.
Yeah.
Boys have that extra confidence to face the world before the right age.
Yeah, because you get told that you're leaders from little, and girls get raised to do the laundry and do the dishes. And I think that's also changed so much. But we haven't spoken about how this integration goes together. You know, how does this integration go together? For me, you know, my personal view and experience of it is, you know, women's fight in the spiritual realm and men fight in the physical realm, and that's why we equal but differently. We're equal.
Yeah.
But differently. It's like on a set, a director can tell everyone what to do, but the AD can't tell the director what to do. And then the actor can tell, can do their job, but they can't tell the crew what to do. So everyone is equal. Everybody has their role, and we're all equal, but differently.
And we need each other for us to complete this thing.
And to understand that what we bring is equally valuable.
Yes.
Just because you're bringing in the provision doesn't mean I'm not praying to protect that provision. Doesn't mean that I'm not praying and interceding in things that you may not see. That is my responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'm holding the emotional space while you're telling the kids, pa, 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 pa. I also have to go, so how are you feeling about this? Because I don't see the masculine energy going, how do you feel?
No.
And I'm the like, how do you feel about this? How's it?
Is going to try to solve it.
Solve it. And as you should. And that's why I hold the space where it's like, how are you feeling? Yeah. Like that didn't feel nice to you. I know your friend saying that didn't feel nice. And so, when there's a challenge, we move to resolve, and that's a good thing. But we also need to look at what else is within that resolve. It's not just the logic. It's also the emotion, the spirit, the mental state of being,
It's there because you can't shake it off. It's part of who you are.
Absolutely.
That emotional side.
So that we don't have to bypass things and just motor through like survivors.
Sure.
Yeah.
You made reference earlier to learning a template of love.
Yes.
That you had to carry with you. And have you unlearned that template? I want to ask you what that template is, but I'm curious to know if you've unlearned it.
Sure. I think I'm consistently unlearning it. I think what we onboard as truth in our formative years becomes such a big part of how we approach life that you consistently have to answer the question of, am I responding to this in a habitual way, or am I responding to this from a form of my higher self, meaning the part of me that is healed, the part of me that doesn't have to come out and fight. And I think it's a daily choice to not go back into habitual behavior. Sometimes a scary choice because it would be so much easier to just be defensive and diffuse the situation like that. It's not who I am any longer. I've also learned and choose every day to love myself in the way that there's no one else in this world who could hold me more tenderly than I do myself. Yeah. So whatever love you offer me is an extension of the love I already have. It doesn't fill my well. My well is full. It overflows when you add to it, and I give thanks for that. But I'm not dependent on you to love me, assure me, to make me feel like I'm important. I am. I know it because that's what I choose.
Did you have to unlearn that?
Yeah, for a long time in my life, I used to choose partners based off of childhood wounds, When your dad's not there, you start feeling like you're not valuable. And then on the other side, an abusive stepdad, you feel like you're worth nothing. So it's two things of feeling very abandoned in both places. And so you go into the world looking for a partner who will make you feel like they won't abandon you. But the truth is that often when you make those choices, you've abandoned yourself.
True.
And so I've ceased to abandon myself. I no longer do that. And that's a great choice for me. Because we're always looking to someone else to give us what we can't do for ourselves. And that's unfair because that other person is also just on most days not even being able to give that to themselves. So now when I love from a point of, it's first the love I give me, so that the love that I share with you is not out of, I'm going to give you this and then you're going to love me more. It's given from a place of absolute purity, generosity, that I expect nothing back because my love is not a transaction.
And it's easy, that kind of love.
Absolutely. And I learned also, God's love is the one love you don't have to earn. You simply have to know it. My love, you don't have to earn. You simply have to know it. That's God, So For me, I think it took a lot of heartbreak, a lot of seeing. I used to believe in signs. That was one of the worst choices I made, because God would send red flags and I'd be like, it's love, it's Valentine's, run towards it, hearts are red. God's like, no, it's a stop street, babe. Stop, it's red. And I would be running to it because I'm like, it's love. Red means love. And so, you know, I have had to take accountability for those choices I made instead of just blaming the other person. I have to acknowledge what my lack was at the time, what my wound was at the time, as to why I ended up with that person. So, for example, and this is just like a general example, you go, I want someone who's authoritative, someone who's going to lead, someone who's going to be the head of the house. And then you choose someone who is that. And then a short while into it, you're like, why are you controlling me? Well,
you asked for it.
But it becomes that person's fault, right? And we have to go back and go, how am I accountable for this too? What is my part in this? Where did I make this decision from? And there's nothing, absolutely nothing in my life that I regret. Every single version and iteration of myself brought me here. Every single thing that I feel like was painful or where it stormed, and God lay me on my belly and went, girl, the only way you're going to get up is with me.
Yeah.
So that's your choice. Stay on your belly or choose me.
That's it.
You have a choice. I'm giving you those two. And I think the resurrection from your belly changes everything. My submission in this life is to God only. Yeah. And because it's to God only is why I know freedom and peace. Because my submission is to, may I die of my will continually. May I have the courage to do that continually. Mm-hmm. Because I begin to see the world through a completely different lens. You know?
I want you to give us a sense of, and this will help a lot of the guys and the girls, of that girl.
Yes.
That came into this relationship wounded with or carrying their own baggage, of a father that in her view abandoned her, a stepdad who in her view mistreated her mom. What hypothetically does that girl looks like as a girlfriend? A partner.
Yes, I hear you. That girl looks like someone who needs you, not choosing to want you every day. She's dependent on you. She needs you to validate her. She needs you to show up in a certain way that sometimes will come at your expense because she doesn't know how to provide that for herself. And so she's looking to you for what her father should have given her. And you're not able to do that because you are not her father. And so we're playing a losing game. Mm-hmm. And you know, there's a song of Amy Winehouse's. The first time I heard it, I sobbed uncontrollably and I couldn't understand why. And the song's title is Love is a Losing Game. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that girl was in a losing game consistently. Yeah. Because there were things about her that she didn't look at, right? And now we have to understand that our young people, they have access to this kind of information way before we did. Still, we're in the experience of, we're experiencing then learning. And that's our lesson, you know? And I have conversations with my kids. They are having conversations I only had at 35. And so we want to have conversations with our kids as though they were us at 18 and 20. No, they us at 30.
Yes.
And that's humongous.
Crazy, eh?
It's huge.
Huge. That's a good 15, 10 years that's taken out.
While they may not have the experience, they already have the information.
Yeah. That can't always be good as well.
It's not. Our version's not good either because we go into everything learning a lesson.
We go blindfolded.
Wow. And now they're casualties in this war. You know, I just do know that in my life, my intention is always not ever to win at anyone's expense, at any measure, for whatever it is. You know, I learned that now, even in partnership. I'm like, if you don't have the capacity to love me in the way that I feel I need to be loved, that I feel I can be loved, I'm capable of loving, or in the way that I love myself, it's a conversation we need to have. I can't just override that.
That's true.
Yeah, and if we're not evolving together, what are we doing? And evolving together means having a conversation about the evolution of the individuals, right?
Do you know, I asked to speak to you so we can talk about your career.
Yeah, we haven't done that.
At all.
I mean, part 2.
Not likely to happen. At the rate we go, it's not likely to happen at all. We tried.
We did. No, we did.
We tried.
We did.
We didn't win.
We didn't.
Your life experiences are so rich that, and I like that you continue to carry them with you as life lessons, because there are people who, it's a moment, it happened, it was that, it's gone.
Yes.
We moved on.
Yes.
You almost have to really search back to your life story.
Yes.
To say, oh yes, I had that, but they move through it. If they move through it so easily, it's not necessarily a good thing, because maybe they didn't learn the lesson.
Yes.
And they just moved past it.
Right.
But with you, every time I saw you and you were talking, I was like, wow, man, she's so insightful about her own pain.
I've made that choice consciously. I've seen growing up and even now in my life people who don't make that choice, and I don't judge that they don't. All our journeys are different. Some of us came here because we wanted to unpack it all, and others of us came here because we wanted to put things in boxes, put the lid on, put it back on the shelf and carry on. All our journeys are different. What I do know is that, and I'm going to go back to this point, is that no one can make me anything. You can't make me angry. I choose whether I'm angry or not. You can't make me sad. I choose whether I'm sad or not, right? And even if things are painful, we get to pause for a moment and reflect on, why is this painful? How is this painful? But is there also joy in this? It's like when they say endings are beginnings. We only focused on the ending. We're not going, oh, the beginning. There's new pasture ahead of me. That requires us to search deeper. When David picked up the stone to throw at the giant, he didn't pick up a stone. He picked up his divinity. He picked up his unwavering belief in God.
Yeah.
He picked up his divinity to throw the stone. There's no way a stone could have taken out a giant.
Not at all.
I pick up my divinity and I'm intentional about it, I'm very scared. Like I have beautiful ideas and things that I could be doing. And often I think you should have been on those things already, Lorcia. Why are you so scared? And the thing is, when you've grown up in a house where you had a stepdad, for example, that mistreated you, there's always that little voice in the back of your head going, you're not good enough. And now you have to deprogram that way of being, that way of thinking.
Even after having done so much, you continue to carry
because it's in the body cells. It's the easier place for the body to go to is to be that. It's much harder to go, no, we don't need that ego. We know that you protected us. We don't need you in this situation. You can go chill on the beach. I have this picture of my ego chilling on the beach, because I'm like, we don't need it. You protected me at some point. It's okay. I know how to do this. The adult me knows how to take care of the inner child now.
That's it.
We judge the adults who failed us in our lives. And yes, we, the adult who is failing this child now.
Yes, and even the very children we are raising.
Yes, and the inner child. The inner child is being failed by us as adults. Yet we're judging the adults who raised us. And we for me, it's important that consistently I do the work to be the adult that the other adults couldn't be, so that I can keep my inner child safe the way that other adults growing up didn't.
What are you grateful for lately?
Life. There was a long time I wasn't grateful for life. There was a time I sat and I thought, God, please don't you want to take me? I don't want this. I don't want this life that you're giving me.
We see this successful, great actress.
Because my mom told me to not wear my problems.
We didn't see any of that.
My process of, they call it the dark night of the soul. We have many of those going through this journey. Many times I've said, God, please don't you want to take me? I don't want this.
Ooh.
Any of it, I don't want it. I say it so nonchalantly now. At the time, it was begging, it was crying, it was pleading. I didn't want to be here anymore. It felt too much. The pain was too deep. And so I think being able to say today that I'm grateful for life, for all of it, required all of that. Sometimes wanting to die is not that we want to die entirely. It's just that we're so desperate for this version of ourselves to die. I was desperate many times for whatever version of myself was present at that time to die. So perhaps we don't want to die of all of ourselves. We want to die of that version.
I like where you took us. Give me the version. How do you describe your version of yourself in your teens?
Oof.
So you know I'm going to ask about...
I was a loner.
Ah.
Definitely. And I was a loner by choice. It was easier to navigate my road by myself than to have to say no to temptation all the time.
You were young though to have, because there's a lot, it takes a lot to decide such a big decision, to say, this I'll do on my own.
You know, my mom is the first of 9 children to not have worked in a factory.
Wow.
My mom is the first of the 9 children who got a matric. She got it in the same year as me.
Amazing.
Yes.
What?
My mom was the first person who graduated. She was a nurse and then became a diabetic educator. She worked her way up, right?
What?
To have that kind of example makes you look at not what's impossible, but what is possible. My mom raised me with a great consciousness of God, but she raised me with an example of relentless pursuing of what her dream was. My mom was the first of 9 kids who got on an airplane.
Wow.
The first of 9 who got a passport and flew abroad.
And that was your example.
That was my example. And
Doesn't get better than that.
And so even though she had shortcomings in other things, I choose to remember the good things because I've worked through the things where I may have felt she came short. I worked through them and I provided forgiveness for that, you know, and I provided forgiveness for her and myself and whatever else came with that. I can't sit in that because there are other beautiful things that are way more valuable that I choose to carry with me. I don't choose to carry her failures. I choose to carry the example she gave me of what it could look like. And she always used to say to me, it may not be an easy road.
No.
And I said, I know. And at 18, when I decided to leave home, she said it again. I said, I know. And then she said, but you'll be even better than me.
Hey, man. Hey. Wow. A version of you in your 20s?
Poof, fearless. There's a part of me who keeps reflecting on my 20s and how fearless I was. There were certain things in my 20s that chipped at my confidence and my courage a little bit, life experiences, you know.
Was that because you approached them with such ferocious fearlessness?
No, I just allowed myself to, at the time, onboard the opinions of people I trusted who weren't good for me. Yeah. I say people, more like person.
Oh, no.
And it chipped at me. And that fearless girl that I knew in my teens and in my early 20s.
So there is a change.
She shattered.
Oh, no.
She shattered, doubted everything about herself, got the worst insecurity complex, still showed up on screen like she didn't have it. Because like you say, right, for those 3 hours, show up as the job requires, do the job, get it done, you know. But behind the scenes, there was a lot of me that wasn't well.
We didn't see it, obviously.
Obviously. And I'm also not someone who runs to media with my things, you know. Yeah. Like, my work is yours to consume. My life is mine. My life belongs to me and to my family. That is mine. The work that I offer is what's yours. Everything is not yours, you know. And so I've always been very clear about that. My personal life, I keep very personal. And I think sometimes that's where the media gets it wrong, you know. just because you think you know something about me, doesn't mean you know everything about me, because some of us are very like, my work belongs to you. I do not belong to you. If anything, and if everything, and everything, I belong to God. I do not belong to you. My work may, because that's what I've put out there. But I belong, my family belongs not to you, And so even though it looked like success on the outside, there was a lot of challenges at that time about my sense of self that I was going through.
Do you recall, because confidence dies over time. It doesn't, it's not instant. It chips away slowly.
Slowly.
Yes. So you're saying you walked into your 20s with this...
I was a superhero.
Yeah.
I mean, what girl leaves Cape Town at the age of 18, moves to Northwest Province, and you know what I made?
When I read that, it's like...
Yeah, do you know what I made? I had choices to go to other places, and this is how I made my choice. I was like, which place would be the most difficult to travel back from? So when you're having a tough time, you don't just get on a plane or on a bus and go home. And if you know, Mabatu is like, you have to drive for 3 hours to Joburg before you can get a bus or an aeroplane.
To Cape Town.
That's how it works. That's how I made the choice. The one that would be the hardest to get so I wouldn't cop out. I was 18. I mean, it's very easy to feel homesick at 18. And after the 2.5 years at Northwest Arts Council, I then formed the resilience to not, through every of those hard times, I couldn't go home. I couldn't go home. And before cell phones, I got a cell phone. I remember after my first year of being there, so I used to have to call from a tiki box, the public phone. And on bad days, I used to call my mom. And she would say, like, Lorcia, do you want to come home? And I'm like, I can't. How am I going to get there? Right?
So far.
And then she'd say to me, right, there's your answer. So stick it out. No one can defeat you. God's with you. Go with it. And so those 2.5 years really, it developed a sense of self that I could manage the hard times and I could do it by myself.
How was the academic experience of Northwest?
You know what was interesting about that company is that they did a lot of development work. I wouldn't have known that development work was, I could access it in that way if I didn't go to Northwest. It was part of the company's profile and mandate that you have to do work in the communities. You have to go to schools. You have to perform there. You have to do that. And that developed the side of me where it became... I got the template as to how to give back in the way of dance, Okay. So it really developed that side of me. And then being a young professional and being exposed to different environments, different communities, I think it gave me such incredible grounding that I knew what kind of difference I wanted to make early on. Yeah. Incredible,
because, in preparation for this, I read up this little Northwest detour. And I said, clearly that's where a lot of your dance, or is it where a lot of your performance came about?
Oh, no. That came from Debbie.
Yeah. Long before you even got there.
I think that stepping into the Northwest Arts Council was just an extension of what Debbie Turner had already set in place.
She has set the foundation.
Oh, no, she said it well in every single way. How I carried myself, the work ethic, what I needed to put in to make it work. She was strict. She was really strict, but so loving.
You didn't crack through the strictness.
No, I think the strictness was necessary. Because if someone offered me alcohol, I would be like, between my mother and Debbie, I'm dead. And I still refer to her as Auntie Debbie, hey?
Wow.
So I was 8 when I met her, and it's like, in our communities, you don't just call someone by their name. No. Yes.
It's uncle or auntie.
Yes. So, or sis, or boot, right? And so I called her Auntie Debbie from 8 years old, that even now, when I speak to her, I still call her Auntie Debbie.
Yeah.
And not because it's like, oh, it's a habit. Yes, it is. But I didn't see her as a stranger to me. She was family to me. And because she wasn't my mom, she was auntie. But definitely, a mom figure to me. God sent her. She was God sent. That I know for sure. That I know for sure.
How different were you to other kids when you got to the Arts Council?
Very.
Considering that you already had so much training. I shouldn't even do this. You had training.
Well, first I was the youngest. Second, I came from a Cape Coloured community with a lot of aggression, with a lot of, in our communities, if someone steps up on you and they make a remark like, let's say, yeah, but you cute, eh? If you don't come back with an aggression, you're the weaker player in the team. No. So, and that's the other thing about being a woman growing up in a coloured community is that if someone comes up to you and goes, but they'll say like this, Joyce, look, no, which means you're cute, eh? If you go, no, and you start walking away, they're on you. No, they're on you. So
you have to push back, so to speak.
So when they say, you cute, eh? You'd be like, who do you think you're talking to? You're talking to me. Like your aggression's got to be 20 times that.
What?
So that there's a little bit of danger for him.
To say, I'm not good.
Oh, this one's difficult. Now imagine that is your system your whole life. And even today is the system in coloured communities. When a guy steps up on you, you got to be more aggressive than he is or you don't stand a chance.
What? That's crazy though, because this poor guy just likes you.
Yeah. No, it's not hardly ever like that.
Yeah.
Someone who really likes you doesn't come up to you and goes, they'll be like, hi, what's your name? Do you mind if we talk? It's a completely different approach. You know the difference.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you can't be more wild than he is, you've lost.
Wow.
The chess game's done.
How did that personality find itself in the middle of these poor kids in the Northwest?
Yeah. I had a bad attitude, if you will. Not because I chose it, but because I got there as a very defensive young girl, young woman. And obviously, company members didn't always understand that because they couldn't understand why, if they're giving me a correction or a note, that I chop them down. I'd be like, what do you think? Yeah, because that's how I used to defend and protect myself. The only person who could give me corrections was Debbie, Auntie Debbie, and whoever she said could teach me. Anybody else, it wasn't happening, right? And so when I got to the Northwest Arts Council, I had all this anger and aggression because that's what kept me safe. Didn't work well.
No.
It didn't work well.
I
got into so much trouble. The company at some point was like, we don't want this girl here. She's angry. She's just aggressive. Like she's aggressive all the time. Fortunately, I had an autistic director who helped me to debunk that I'm safe without being aggressive.
It's okay.
Because aggression means safety. If you can be the tough guy, you're safe, And
everyone is afraid of you.
Yeah. But in a professional space, that doesn't work well. Because also like now you have people also who are older than you in the company and you're just like telling them off however you feel like. And don't tell me.
You're 18, you're 19.
Like, don't tell me I know what the council, like, wah. Because, that aggression helped you then, but it doesn't help you now. So I had to do a lot of work to kind of just feel safe without needing aggression as a tool or anger as a tool.
That's amazing. Eh? You survived it. You're fine now, right?
Barely. I just got out of there. Like, no, but it was a great way to start debunking what my programming was to be able to survive Cape Coloured communities.
What was the curriculum of the council?
You dance from 9 till 5. It's full-time company. Sometimes you're preparing for season work. Other times you're preparing for school tours. Other times you're just working.
You're performing, yeah.
Yeah, you're just working. And also there was an orchestra. There was a drama company. So it was beautiful. I mean, the fact that we don't have these kinds of structures in our country anymore is so sad. I look at our country now and there's no full-time contemporary dance company. I think we have 2 ballet companies. Where do dance dancers go. And so it's, I think
we don't dance anymore.
We don't.
And yet we are such a dance
No, we have no
country.
space. And not just dance, drama, music. Where do our young people go to for that kind of future now? Where is it? It doesn't exist. It was beautiful. You'd be in the dance studio and you'd hear the orchestra going
while you're doing this,
while the actors are walking down the corridor. It's like incredible. Yeah,
it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
There's not some guy somewhere who's running it quietly.
No, if I'm being truly honest, like I think there may be 2 contemporary dance companies in our country. I mean, full-time or on project basis, but that work quite regularly. And then 2 ballet dance companies and 3 ballet maybe. I stand corrected on all of these.
Yes.
But it's not more than 5.
It's not like it used to be.
No, it's no full-time. It's no full-time. And I made a career. My career started in a full-time dance company. Where's the funding?
What was, in your opinion, the reason for all of this disappearing? Could it be that there's less demand
It's
for it?
the same answer as with everything. No, there isn't less of a demand. Dancers still dance at every event. Bad management of funds and infrastructure.
Political will.
Art, unfortunately, in our country, the artistic space is still seen as a thing that you do as an extramural. And until that mindset changes, I mean, an artist will have to fight to get a bond, will have to fight to even rent an apartment, will have to fight to buy a car. I'm just like...
Because they have to prove their earning.
Even if you've been on a soapy for 10 years, you are still a contract worker. You are still a freelancer. There's nothing that says you are full-time employed. No artist is full-time employed in this country. How is that possible when we have veterans who have been on how many shows?
Yeah.
For how many years?
How long?
Why are you still straddling the line of, oh, you're not trustworthy. We can't trust you to pay.
I know. A lot has to change, though, to get that right.
You know what? I often used to feel so disheartened. Now I'm just in the position where I'm concerned about my world. What effect am I, what change am I making in my world? How am I serving in my world? How am I being a blessing in my world? How am I affecting change in my world? My world being every single space that I encounter, whether it's going to Pick and Pay and greeting the teller and asking her how her day was, or buying her chocolate because she doesn't look so nice because she just told me what's happened. That's my world. Every world that my spirit, my body, myself is allowed to go into, I want to be able to affect that space. I can't worry about what's beyond that because often that can make me feel like I'm playing a losing game and I don't want to be in that position. So my world, how do I affect change in my world? We think that going to church on a Sunday is how we honor God. Honoring God is church every day in how we interact with people in our space. How do people leave after they've encountered us? For me, it's about has someone experienced love in my presence? Have they experienced a reflection of God in my presence? That's my marker. I don't wait for Sunday and then think I can tithe and transact with God. Tithing is not a transaction with God, even though that's what it's the subtext of it's like, if I tithe, I'm going to get this. God's not a bank, And so I'm not doing it because I'm like, yeah, God's going to see I'm good and then he's going to give me this. No, I am pleased if it pleases God. And so my church, my service, my spirituality is in every single thing I do every single day of my life. How I show up at work, how I show up at the mall, how I show up with you, how I show up with the car guard, how I show anywhere I go. And that's how I create a life that I'm proud of. I am the legacy in every single person I encounter. What I leave with them is my legacy. And so I don't want to fumble there. I don't want to be haphazardous about that. I'm intentional about it. That is how I serve. And fortunately, I get to serve through my art too,
And for me, because I've heard you speak of serving through your art. How does that look like? Does it also mean what you choose to do, how you choose to do it? How does that look?
So, I mean, I'm on Paradise. And the reason why the show was important for me to take on was because it's the first of its kind on free-to-air television.
Yeah.
I'm a part of history. And I'm a lead on a show that's a part of history. It's one of my proudest moments in my career. What makes me more proud is that colored people are represented in their authentic forms. We don't have to polish our Afrikaans to sound nice. We don't have to polish our English to sound nice. The show is authentic representation of various colored communities all over South Africa. But what's even better is that as a cast, we've made a decision and we're very intentional about how we are with each other offset as well. That the change of how our communities are affected positively doesn't only happen via the product which you see on screen. It also happens behind the scenes. It also happens, the change begins with how we interact with each other. We're always saying our communities are this, our communities are that. And then we get to sit and we treat each other badly. I'm like,
It reflects that.
Yeah, that same stereotype. And so we're very intentional about how we treat each other on set. I've not worked on a set like this where we have conversations. So if you're not feeling okay with or about someone, we have the conversation.
Wow.
We don't go and turn other 10 cast members against each other. No.
Yeah.
We have the conversation, and only those who this is relative to get involved, and only those who know how to resolve this conflict are involved. Otherwise, we don't do it. We get
Amazing.
We're on time. We know our lines, and that's part of our prerogative is to be excellent at what we do, and that's a choice every single day.
How did you get to that though? As a collective, because it's easy for you as an individual to decide to just do the right thing. But as a collective, it may not be easy to get everyone to toe the line. I bet you even in government, there's someone who just want to do their job.
You call a meeting.
Yeah.
And you say, this is what I'm tabling. Who's on board? You don't tell people this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Give people the choice always. God gives us a choice even to choose him. How dare we tell people what to do? Give people a choice. We make a case that's strong enough. We make a case that makes sense enough. And often the sense lands. It resonates.
Absolutely.
Because it comes from a pure place. And you've prayed about this before, right? So you're not just coming up with your own version. You call a meeting and you present it.
Yeah.
And you go, let's try this navigation. I am big on... People don't often realize this. And then lots of people in leadership positions who shouldn't be. They may have the skill set, but they definitely don't have the people. They don't have the people skills.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't. They lack it. Yeah. They might get the job done, but they've killed 40 people along the line. They've killed their sense of self. I'm very interested in our industry with us not being aware with how we speak to people, and that person is a parent, a sister, a brother, a partner, whatever they are in their personal space, and you're affecting them in such a way that they take that home to their families. I hope that God counts the tears they've spent because of you.
One day you get to account.
You don't get to treat people so badly and get away with it. And so for us, we're on set 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. We work 5-6-5-6.
Okay.
And so for me, it's very important, like whoever's in the leadership positions on any show that I'm on, very cognizant of how people treat each other, because we don't realize that you speaking to someone in that way, they may go home and not treat their child as well as they should because they feel stressed and in fear that they may lose their job because of how you've spoken to them. It's again, the why is important, yes, but the how you do it is more important than that why.
That's true.
I feel people, and the problem is that person or those people are often not even cognizant of the fact that it's a ripple effect. Tomorrow that child goes to school broken.
Because of something that happened at work.
Because you couldn't treat someone in a humane way.
Do you know where it takes me? It takes me where my brain always goes when it comes to the history of our country.
Yes.
Our dads were called boy.
Oof.
By your dad who's in his 50s, who's a leader of a community, who neighborhood goes to him for guidance and advice. He's that important. And back in those days, a 50-year-old man
gets called.
And is a big man, is a strong man. And our dads were called boy at work.
Yeah.
And then they brought that home.
Right.
Yes, they brought that entire belittled energy.
Listen, and now as people of color, as POCs, we are doing that to each other. Which is worse?
100% us doing it to ourselves, us doing it to each other. It's not even a question.
I hope we become more cognizant of how we treat each other, at work especially. This thing where, like, we think we're in a position of power and we can just speak to people however we wish. It's rubbish. It needs to stop. That's the one thing at work, on any set that I'm on. Yeah, it affects me deeply.
Because the question that comes to mind very obviously is, for you as a collective with this particular show to say we can do better.
Yes.
We can treat one another better.
Yes.
It means it comes from different experiences.
Yes.
That led to all
But it's a choice we make every day.
True.
It's a choice we make every day.
Yeah.
And leaders, I challenge them to make that choice every day. In fact, I'll give you more when you treat me with respect and consideration. I'll give you more. You don't have to beat me over the hands. That's my mother's job. It's not yours. You don't get to belittle me. My mother doesn't belittle me. You don't get to do that. People go home to their families and they are affected by how you've treated them. I hope that consciousness lands with you, that that's not okay. It doesn't matter who you are. I hope that you can think for a second that maybe there's a 5-year-old child that because of you cried and felt broken because their parent was so stressed because you decided that to speak to them like they're nothing and they're worthless. And that felt good for your ego, right? But it didn't work for the family dynamic and it didn't work for the ripple effect that has.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about that because it upsets me.
And I fully get it because
it's careless.
Yeah,
it's careless.
It's strange humans that are going to treat others badly for no reason.
No,
almost like they are performing.
But even if you have a reason to treat people that badly, there's no reason good enough.
No.
Everyone's flawed, including you.
Yeah.
But you don't get to do that. If you want respect, give respect. It doesn't make you weak. You don't have to use your voice and your minimizing language to school someone. You're not schooling anyone. That's their parents' job. You know?
Wow.
Meet people with respect. They'll respect you equally.
Well captured, man. Wow.
Yeah, I think we're done now. Are we done?
We'll be done in a minute.
Because I want to land on that note. That's the thing that I'm most passionate about right now in this iteration of my journey.
Yeah. We'll be done in a minute. Don't worry.
Okay.
Your performance.
Yeah.
Where did you draw the Tyson's energy from?
Ooh-wee. All storytelling for me is an opportunity to honor someone's life, either their life or someone who they know. So every story that I go into, it's about how do I tell this story in a way that either makes someone feel seen or held or makes them think about someone else in their life who they didn't have understanding or compassion or forgiveness for, whatever it is. So I don't take my roles on with regards to like, oh, this is a great story. I take it on from the premise of how do I honor someone's story out there? This is someone's story. It may not all be the same, but they're parallels that are undeniable. How do I honor that? And so I go in, I dive into the ocean, I go to the bottom of the ocean floor, and I stay there until it's done. And then I come up and I go, I hope I gave it the honor that it deserved and the respect.
We saw billboards during COVID.
Yes.
You remember? Because some of us were allowed to go to work. I was one of the few in the streets. And there were billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
Of lockdown.
Yeah.
And strange.
And one with Cyril in the middle.
That's the thing.
Lockdown.
Strangely, it's like, what, we have this show with the same name.
Yes.
And you guys were all over billboards.
Yes.
And it was just...
You know, lockdown was the first time anyone recognized me. And at that point, I'd been on Backstage, I'd been on Scandal.
Jeez.
It was the first
Your
time
list is long.
the mold of the pretty colored girl with the great body
was
was
But didn't matter, yes.
It's like, oh, she can act. And I was like, I've been doing this though. But God's time is perfect. So, you know, it's also funny to play Tyson because it was what I didn't like in my community growing up. I didn't like people like Tyson. I was like, I'll never date anyone like that. I'll never be like that. I'll never. And then God went, well, let's have some compassion for them. And then it really took me back to how we're responsible as a society that we created part of that person too. We failed that person too. They weren't born like that. We did that. We're a part of that story that created how that human being landed in that situation. Yes, their choices too, but when as a society do we go, we had a part in that too.
That is true.
And that's what our leaders are missing, is they're not asking the question of like, how am I perpetuating this constant state of violence and crime and lack for the people? Because they're not asking that question. They don't feel like they're contributing to it, and they are.
Did the Tyson role shift your career in any way?
Of course it did. I think finally people saw that I had capacity to bring a story to life, real stories to life. I always thought I did as a dancer. I was transcendent on a stage. I mean, you know, backstage, people used to watch the dancing and be like, wow. I always knew that as an artist, I had the capacity, the grace and the gift to transcend anything. You know, like I always said to myself, you know, for that moment, while I have the privilege of your space, I hope I provide you with transcendence.
Wow.
That whatever you're going through, wherever you are, that in that moment I held the space for you to not have that be the first on your list.
And your current job, your current Paradise. Rochelle.
Yes.
What is her role in the story as a lead? Where is she going with all of the stuff that she's doing now?
So, you know, it's such an interesting story. Rochelle's sister can't conceive. Rochelle's family asks her to be the surrogate, but with her egg, but with the sister's husband's.
Okay.
Yes. So they make this baby, have this baby, and Rochelle's all for it because she wants to help her sister. But then the baby's born and she has this bond and this connection to this baby. And she didn't think she would have it, right? Because how you don't know that until you know it.
True.
And she couldn't give the baby up. She couldn't give the baby back. And no one would have understood that because it's supposed to be her sister's baby. And she takes the baby and she runs. And she stays away for 18 years until she moves to Cape Town. Then she has a job transfer that brings her to Pretoria. And then she gets tracked down. And this is how she comes back into Paradise.
With an 18-year-old.
With an 18-year-old. And having to build all these bridges that she had broken. And that's how the story of Paradise begins. It's a beautiful story. The thing I think I love the most about Paradise is that it's human stories. I think all people of all races, gender, creed, belief systems can relate to the stories that happen in Paradise. It's not this is a colored story. No, it's a community story.
That's true.
It's a story about any community anywhere in South Africa.
Yeah.
And it's reflecting the lives and the challenges that we face as communities, you know, water outages, addiction problems, you know, having one person who has ill intentions for the community and then someone who's the Rochelle character who fights against that, and then a church community and a praying community and relationships, marriage problems and young love and family dynamics, a son who's always trying to win his father's approval and he never does. So these are not typical colored stories, but they are typical human stories. And so anyone can switch that TV on and relate to different parts of that story. And that's what makes me so proud. It's that, you know, the show is not in that stereotypical mind frame that you think a colored show is about. It's human stories brought to life by a predominantly colored cast, you know. And for me, that's the pride of the show, is that there may be challenge, but hope is what exists there. And so it's a story about hope. It's a story about restoration. It's a story about, yes, there are challenges, but how do we recover from them?
Yeah, it's incredible because I was at the launch and I remember someone highlighting that very point that you would expect a colored story,
Yes.
best of its kind.
Yes.
To-
That person would have been me.
Yeah. Definitely. To reflect a particular version
Yes.
of what is perceived to be a colored story.
No.
And intentionally, it's not.
It's not. It's
a
human
universal
It's a
story.
universal story. And I think that for me, more than being the first of its kind on free-to-air TV and being a part of history, is that we've broken the thing that only colored people can only tell this kind of story. We've completely broken that mindset. And you know, across the board, I hope that that's where we get to in the art space of telling stories, that we don't go, oh, this is only for a white actor, this is only for a black actor. I hope that we go, who's the best person for this? Because we're not selling a cultural story.
Yeah.
We're not telling a particularly, we're not telling a story around culture. So who would be the best for this love story? Who would be the best for this drama?
100%.
And so we move beyond the color, cultural boundaries that we're so adamant to have.
Are you enjoying this experience?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it because, like I said, the cast are just beautiful people and beautiful people to work with. The crew are exceptional. And so the stories, before the stories even hit the screen, it's already a success.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you have things where the result is great, but the backstory is horrific. That's not the case here. I'm very proud to say that I'm proud to be a part of this team, even before what you see on screen.
I want to carry on. As you know, I do 10 hours. However, I'm good. I want to speak more. I want to go to family.
Yes.
We'll do part 2.
Let's do part 2.
Absolutely.
Will we do it in the 1M?
We'll do a part 2 in the 1M.
And we'll put this on the back.
We'll
by the
find a way
window.
to incorporate.
No, let's do it. I challenge you to
Done.
that.
It's fine. Don't worry.
Okay, you
it's
got
it.
it.
It's a small detail.
Okay. It's
a
been so incredible
very small detail.
talking with you. I think.
It was an unexpectedly different day.
Yes, so unexpectedly. I think how beautiful to be held
Yes.
by masculine energy in this gentle, beautiful way.
We try.
No,
It's mommy's energy. It has little to do with me.
No, but thank you.
Yes.
I think it's really great to be able to just speak freely
Thank you.
in the way that we have. And I wish your show all the success it so deserves. Thank you for who you are.
Ndiyabulela.
Ngiyabonga, baba.
Thank you so much.
Dankie, uncle.
Hi. That was wow. Lorcia Kupa, I didn't expect that. Khumalo, but hey, you know how it goes. I didn't expect that at all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
King David Studio Podcast.